I've been crushing on Ethan for 12 years, watching him go through girlfriends like tissues. Just when everyone thought I might actually tame the heartbreaker, he blocked me for another girl. A month later, he was down on one knee in a field of roses, begging for another chance. I pulled a bright red wedding invitation from my purse, smiled, and said, "I'm getting married next week. I hope you can make it." Ethan texted our group chat, "Meet at the usual spot tonight." "Got something to announce?" his best friend Josh teased. "Whoa, so formal. Is the player finally settling down?" It was a running joke, and usually Ethan would laugh it off. This time, he just replied, "Yeah, one simple word." But it sent ripples through the group. The chat exploded. "No way! Mr. Heartbreaker is tying the knot. Did Olivia finally land him?" Let me guess. Ethan hasn't been dating anyone recently, so it must be Olivia. I always said he was different with her. He never brought girls around. Before she moved back, my feelings for Ethan were no secret, just like his obvious favoritism towards me. He didn't reply, seemingly confirming everyone's assumptions. After all these years, despite his revolving door of girlfriends, I'd always been his constant. Anyone would think my wait was finally over. Ethan was the last to arrive, with a shy girl trailing behind him. Her small hand gripped his shirt, her wide eyes darting around the room with innocent curiosity. She looked like a fawn straying into unfamiliar territory, reminding me of myself 12 years ago, when I first moved in with the Millers. The playful banter in the room died down as Ethan pulled her forward and put his arm around her. "Everyone, this is my girlfriend, Summer." His eyes never left her, full of tenderness. Sensing the awkward silence, Summer shrunk closer to him, looking nervous. Oh, Josh was the first to recover, letting out a forced laugh. "Keeping secrets, huh?" "When did this happen?" His gaze kept flicking to me, concern masked but easily readable. After all these years, Ethan had never formally introduced a girlfriend to us before. We all knew what this meant. He ruffled Summer's hair. "A couple of months now. Summer's a bit shy, so be nice." 12 years ago, it was the same group, the same words. "Olivia's a bit shy, so be nice." Back then, I was a small town girl, fresh off the bus, awkward and self-conscious in my new, affluent surroundings. Ethan had been the one to pull me into their circle. That year I was 14, and he became my light. Maybe the others were closer to Ethan, but I'd always been the only girl in the group, the one everyone assumed would end up with him, to avoid making me uncomfortable. Their reactions were subdued. Summer bit her lip, eyes welling up. "Ethan," she whispered, "do they not like me?" Her use of his first name made me cringe. Teenage Ethan used to tease me relentlessly, stealing my hair ties and making me call him Big Brother before he'd give them back. Before he had grown out of his boyish charm, he used to hate girls who acted cutesy. Just as Ethan was about to comfort her, a glass shattered in the corner. It was Ashton, the one person who'd always had it out for me. His face was hard. "Ethan, what the hell have you been doing to Olivia all these years?" Ethan's face darkened. He scanned the room, his eyes landing on me. "I don't know what you're all assuming, but Olivia has always been like a sister to me." Like a sister? Did he forget last New Year's Eve when Josh bought fireworks and asked him to join? Ethan had just lounged beside me, grinning. "Nah, I'm staying with my Olivia," someone had teased. "Since when is she your Olivia?" He tossed a clementine at them, laughing, "Always has been. She's practically my childhood sweetheart, just 6 months ago. And now I was a sister." I pressed a hand to my chest. There was a pang, a dull ache, but nowhere near as devastating as I'd expected. Instead, there was a sense of closure, like finally receiving a rejection letter from a literary magazine 12 years after submitting a story I poured my heart into. It was a calm acceptance. "Oh, okay, I see." Years of waiting had worn down the initial excitement and hope. My feelings for Ethan were the same, not gone, just dormant. The outcome no longer held the same power over me. Ashton started to say something else, but I stopped him. He glared at me and muttered useless before storming out. I couldn't stay. Grabbing my bag, I followed him. Just as I reached the door, Ethan called out, "Olivia, get back here." I turned and smiled. "It's okay, Ethan. Have fun. I'll check on Ashton." It was the first time I'd willingly called him Ethan. He didn't look pleased. His face hardened. "Get back here." This time, I didn't listen. As I pushed the door open, I heard the crash of more breaking glass. The door closed behind me, shutting out the noise. Checking on Ashton was just an excuse. Despite him sticking up for me, I still remembered how he treated me in school, pelting me with dodgeballs, snipping my braids, hiding my textbooks, putting caterpillars in my desk. Gratitude was one thing. I'd send him a thank you gift. But becoming friends? No way. I was heading home when I spotted him leaning against the wall outside, smoking. He tossed the cigarette in the trash when he saw me. I rode with Josh. "Are you heading back? Mind if I get a ride?" I sighed and relented. In 12 years of friendship, this was one of the few times we'd been alone without arguing. I dropped him off at his house. He didn't move. After a long silence, he mumbled, "That summer girl, she's a lot like you used to be." So what? She wasn't me and I wasn't her. I didn't want to discuss it, so I opened the car door, practically shoving him out. Ignoring his indignant shouts, I pulled away and turned into the next driveway. My house was next door to Ashton's, Ethan's right beside that. This was a neighborhood of privilege, Ashton called as soon as I parked, telling me to check the group chat. It was blowing up with red envelopes, virtual cash gifts. Ethan had added Summer to the group, and everyone was sending her welcome gifts. I sent one too. The next second, Ethan kicked me out of the chat. A private message followed. "Sorry, Olivia. Your presence makes Summer uncomfortable. Let's not contact each other for a while." My fingers trembled as I typed back a simple okay. The message bounced back with a glaring red exclamation point. He blocked me. 12 years of friendship from childhood to adulthood, lost to a 2-month fling. I stared at the exclamation point, eyes stinging but dry. The old Ethan would pat my head and say, "Olivia, nobody's more important to me than my parents, and you." I loved Ethan, but I'd never crossed a line, never even hinted at my feelings. Whenever he had a girlfriend, I deliberately kept my distance, afraid of being a burden. Yet any attempt to pull away only seemed to annoy him. His first girlfriend was my college roommate, a girl who knew exactly how I felt about him. They showed up hand in hand, her smile radiant. She seemed to have forgotten all the whispered secrets we'd shared, thanking me with saccharine sincerity. "Olivia, thank you. I couldn't have gotten Ethan without you." The wind held that day. As I stood there feeling like a fool, that's when it hit me. She befriended me solely to get to him. I distanced myself from both of them. Their romance lasted all of 3 days. She cried in our dorm room, then turned on me, eyes puffy and accusing. Ethan dumped me. "Are you happy now?" I was baffled. I hadn't done anything, but since she asked, I told her the truth. "Yeah, I am. That night, Ethan dragged me out to a fancy dinner. 'Come on, Liv,' he pleaded. 'You've been ignoring me for 3 days. "Don't be mad," I explained. "I'm not mad. You have a girlfriend and we should keep some distance. It's better for everyone. But I only dated her because I thought you two were friends. If you like someone, I like them. If you don't, I don't." He said it with such conviction. After that, he avoided dating anyone I knew and never brought his girlfriends around. But our social circle was small. Word always got back to me. At holiday gatherings, people would tease him. "Ethan, when are you going to bring a girl around for us to meet?" He put peeled shrimp in my bowl, answering casually, "Not yet." A few of his girlfriends had even contacted me, begging or berating me to stay away from him. It became clear, even if I did nothing, my mere existence was a problem. So when Ethan asked me to cut ties with him for summer, I respected his decision. But why kick me out of the group chat? It wasn't just him. My closest friends were there too. My phone buzzed with calls. I declined them all, texting back that I was fine, telling them not to worry. Kindness was too much to bear when I was on the verge of tears. An hour later, Josh showed up at my house, sporting a bruised face. He flopped onto the couch, accepting the ice pack I offered. "What happened?" I asked. He sighed. "Ethan pissed some people off and got jumped. I tried to break it up and got caught in the crossfire." "Where are they now?" I asked. He shifted the ice pack, wincing. "They took Ethan to the hospital." I stayed silent. After a few minutes, Josh asked hesitantly, "Olivia, Ethan's just confused. We all see how much summer looks like. When he comes to his senses, will you give him another chance? The unspoken ending was like you." I frowned, avoiding the question. "Josh, I think I need to go visit Grandma. When my mum was pregnant with me, my dad's business almost went bankrupt. A fortune. Teller blamed it on me, saying I was bad luck. Since my mum was 9 months along, there wasn't much they could do. So as soon as I was born, I was sent to live with my grandma in a small town in Georgia. She named me Olivia, her only treasure. But when I was 14, she passed away, and I was nobody's treasure anymore. I'd always thought at least there's Ethan. Even if I wasn't a treasure, I was his first choice, and that wasn't so bad. But reality had a way of hitting hard. It was the rainy season in Georgia, the air thick with humidity. I walked along the familiar cobblestone streets, umbrella in hand. At the end of the road was the old 3-story house where I'd spent my childhood. My mum always said Grandma was stubborn. Even though her daughter had married into money, she insisted on staying in that small town, clinging to her run-down house. But that stubborn old woman had given me the happiest years of my life. Rain was light. A street vendor rode by on a tricycle, his loudspeaker looping peaches. Fresh Georgia peaches. A woman came out of a nearby house, umbrella up to buy some. She spotted me and gasped, "Olivia, what are you doing here? It's not time for your grandma's memorial yet." I forced a smile, tears pricking my eyes. "I missed home, just here for a few days." She glanced at my suitcase, her expression softening. "Honey, you came all this way alone. Your grandma's house has been empty for ages. It must be damp with all this rain. Why don't you stay with us? My son Alex is hardly ever home. You'd keep me company." She grabbed my suitcase and LED me to her house.